Good afternoon. How are you? Well, the heat is pretty terrible, as Thomas Jefferson would tell you. It's about 95 degrees, and I have been accompanied by and then lost the wind. That is to say, I was getting like 8 miles an hour, and right now it's as still as could possibly be. And I'm going to walk at a pace that I think will allow me to finish, and I think it helps that it's overcast where I am, so the sun is not beating down. And I don't know if you've ever ridden a motorcycle on black tar on a hot day. And years ago, I was participating in a parade, and I drove over it, and it must have felt like to be in an oven. So I have in recent days talked about how we study the past, and we don't seem to learn from it. We repeat it, we explain it, we comment on it, we fool about it, but we don't look forward to how we solve the challenge. In a sense, it's clear that many have given up in participating. The challenges are too great despite the chest-beating pride that we Americans claim is our special legacy for the world to observe and to bow to its existence, to our accomplishment. But you're only as good as the last thing you've done. And no less than Sartre said, you are potentially nothing, you are only what you've done. And so if the actions we fail to take going into the future define us, we're inviting worse, not better outcomes. So is it possible to understand why we don't look into the future, why we don't plan and work toward the future? And there are several looming, difficult, in our face, present catastrophes that we have to take seriously. Since the Industrial Revolution, we have been responsible for amazing strides in industry, but they have compromised our future. And today, billions of people are affected by heat waves, breaking, as I speak to you, over 1,000 records according to some sources. Now, there is a temperature of 125 degrees in Egypt right now. Yesterday, where I am in Northern Virginia, it was 100 for a while. I was not out in it. And I didn't walk yesterday because the sun was out, the wind wasn't moving, and even our dogs, our house dogs, didn't want to go outside. And our animals, we kept as wet as we could, and they sought their own shelters that we have in the field. So where are we? We are in a place where catastrophes have become common, and we treat them in a stovepipe like this catastrophe we'll deal with in the here and now. So we'll try to take care of those people and get them in hospitals and try to avoid being overheated and all these variety of things to the specific instance, ignoring the overarching problem, which is, has global warming reached a pivot point, as Dr. Hansen of Columbia likes to call it, beyond which nothing can be done. It's too late. Now, obviously, we all want to operate on the premise that that's not the case. Do we appoint a person like Kerry to try to make a difference in this area just because he'll be taken seriously for everything he's done in his life, but we won't really do any of the things that he thinks we should do, and he will have a public office, and I think if their thought is this, they miss Kerry's character, which is he'll just be glad enough to be seen and known. I don't believe that's who he is. There was a climate scientist, Michael Wehmer, who said people will die today because of global warming, and they will. So that's one of the problems that we're not dealing with. we give a lot of lip service. We give a lot of symbolism. You know, we're going to have EV cars, but we're not going to allow any Chinese EV cars to come here. We're going to have EV cars, but we're going to encourage still oil and coal and gas and not favor renewables. You can't have it both ways. And even if you're fooling the public, you're compromising us down the road. Now, let's turn to Oppenheimer. There's probably very few people on the planet by now who are unaware of this most magnificent film capturing, as faithfully as one could, a book of the same name describing the creation of the bomb that was feared could literally destroy Earth. And no one would know until they exploded that first test to see if it worked. So this first test of nuclear power was followed by others elsewhere. Near Las Vegas, there have been over 928 nuclear tests above and below the ground. And can we expect more testing above and below the ground, given the unsettled relations of our world powers, Russia, China, and the United States? Are they going to begin testing above and below ground? Are they doing it now, keeping it secret from us? I favored what we called a nuclear freeze in 1984. I was supported by a variety of people when I was running for Congress. I won a primary, I think, with that issue. But I could get no personal ground in the general election, and I take it on myself. You can only do so much. I made it an expensive congressional seat for any candidate, but I couldn't take advantage of it myself. And it was the year Reagan was running against Mondale, and Mondale, well, the people weren't interested in Mondale, and so they weren't interested in down-ticket candidates like myself. But nevertheless, I supported a nuclear freeze in 1984. And I think it was important and the right thing to do, and I think that's even more true now. So we had a test. The last test I think we had was in 1992, and we may again. And there are and have been 67 devices tested in Marshall Island, and the dust is hazardous. The dust is dangerous for us. It's dangerous for our health. In recent days, you may have seen how we have microplastics in our bodies. Paper or plastic. What do you want when you're getting your groceries? And, you know, we could go on and on. No one is investigating what the potential is of bird flu. Everybody will be assured until it's too late, which is like the prescription that got us into trouble with COVID-19. So I've stated agenda items that are existential in effect, that are first rung important in terms of issues that concern the world and do. And we're going to have a debate on Thursday. And the debate is going to be between the incumbent, Mr. Biden, and the former president and challenger, Mr. Trump. And what are we talking about? Oh, is Trump going to wander around the room while Biden is speaking because his mic will be shut off? Well, maybe we should have Secret Service there to usher him back. If I were on the stage as a candidate, I would stop the music and say, I don't want my time to be counted. Tell him to get back to where he's supposed to be. But that may not be the approach. But there will be things, stunts, if you will, to get the attention away from Biden and to Trump. But will any of these issues I've just discussed be the subject of questions for the candidates? Are we going to have them discuss strategies for these mind-numbing challenges? And if we're not, are we once again avoiding what may occur in the future? We look back. We adopt a policy of stasis, dynamic staticism, static dynamism, meaning we don't do anything. Now, we have Trump, a former president, a current felon, twice impeached, who is going to continue to be prosecuted, win or lose this election, and no one is concerned about that for the future of America. Make America great again echoes dictators' slogans that got them elevated to office. Is that what's going to happen here? Then on a frivolous kind of reality TV level, instead of a serious debate, we're going to say who won or lost based on how it affected us really as infotainment. We're not going to learn a damn thing from these two about these serious issues. And where they're going to throw back and forth, you sleep, you use drugs, you're too old, you're this, you're that. But only one of the two has actually served the function and served it while running for re-election. And he did it without having to appear in court being prosecuted. And that his son was prosecuted, and how that happened doesn't affect his responsibility as a public servant and his credit to become president again, re-elected, to face these future challenges. So I have talked about the dangers, the emergency that's before us. But besides those things, we should be planning great and marvelous things. Education. Not to dumb up America because we think with more education they'll become liberal, because there are plenty of studies that say the contrary. And I have known and debated people over my life and worked for and been appointed by people who were very conservative. So the problem isn't the ideology. The problem is the character of those who choose public life and what they're prepared to do. And will they go to the moon or Mars? Will they devote time and energy to cancer? Will they take care of people who are in pain, who can't get pain medication? Will they make justice equivalent? Will they stop having presumptions against a further full and fair hearing of people charged? Will we do something about getting counsel to people in civil and criminal distress? And it goes on and on. And at some point when people go into politics, the best people who do it go in to take on these issues and to make a difference. Trump is not one of those people. Trump went in it to get his. He's the guy who breaks up the game, steals the money on the ground, and uses bad cards and false dice to get whatever it is he wants and to say whatever it is he wants. How many of you think that him listing the Florida senator as a possible running mate is a false call to punish him for having the nerve to attack Trump ages ago in 2016? So once you know that character of the man, you say, am I going to trust the future of our country with him if we believe we should be doing something in the future? And for those who say, well, if there's no afterlife and I can't do anything about these issues, what am I doing? In a way, the symbolism is a baton. We live our life as a kind of opera, hopefully making a difference while we're here, getting the most out of it we can, being friend, consoler, lover, workmate to people in our transition from cradle to grave. And we pass a baton by our example and what we've done and who we are to the next generation. That's what we do. And if one's going to begrudge the short time we have to live on earth, as Seneca once said, that's not the question. The question isn't how long you have, but how much time you waste. So that's what I got to say on this increasingly sweaty day from my cathedral of trees. So, weather permitting, I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.